Welcome all. So at the outset, I congratulate all those students who have cleared the written test of BARC, and some of the students have cleared based on GATE score also. First of all, many congratulations. So half the job is done. And you know that whatever the GATE score is, whatever your written test marks are, now they are just of qualifying nature. Now your final selection is entirely dependent on your interview performance. So first of all, I say in life, you have to attend one BARC interview. So that is the dream of many engineers. Now in this video, of course, I'm not going to take much time, maybe 20-25 minutes. I will guide you from my experience. I will guide you what are the things to be done for interview, what sources are to be referred, and from those sources what to study, and how the interview goes, and next 30-35 days plan I will let you know. Already I have formed a group. So in that group, students, they should discuss doubts, they should discuss questions that are asked in the BARC. So already I have created a group. I think there are about 50 students, our Unacademy plus students, around 50 students. मतलब अभी तक तो जो group में around 50 students have joined. And let me tell you very clearly, I am not forcing anyone to join the group, and I am not taking any credit. Finally, if you are getting selected, I am not taking any credit. पहले ही बता दे रहा हूँ. I am not going to tell you कि advertise करके so मेरा selection हुआ, मेरे कारण हुआ. नहीं. Whatever you have reached till now, it is due to your efforts, and I am just a guide. So I will try my level best to guide you perfectly in this coming 20-25 minutes, and at the same time, for coming 30-35 days also, I will discuss some questions with you. If possible, I'll share some lovely questions, interview questions, which are asked in BARC and which have potential to be asked in upcoming interviews. Very good. Now, first you remove from your mind, this interview is very tough, whether I am going to get selected or not in this interview. What will happen? First, you remove that. Fear of failure is more dangerous than failure. First, you remove from your mind. So prepare in a calm, systematic manner. Get detached from result. That is the first point. The first point is get detached with result. Forget about result. Forget about result. ठीक है sir. Second, generally the BARC interview will last for a minimum of 30-35 minutes. I repeat, minimum बोला मैं. Maximum it can go maybe 1.5 hours, maybe 1 hour 50 minutes. It depends. It depends. And at the same time, with my experience, it doesn't mean कि if your interview has lasted for longer time that you have a very strong potential of getting selected. ऐसा भी कोई thumb rule नहीं है. And if your interview has lasted for maybe half an hour or 40 minutes, that doesn't mean कि your selection chances are less. ये भी गलत है sirs. It all depends on how you analyze things and how you answer that matters a lot. Because you are going to work in BARC as a scientist, it is research oriented. So they will check your analytical skills, whether you have a capacity to analyze things. If a particular model, if a particular problem, if a particular mathematical model is given, will you be in a position to analyze that problem? For example, a practical situation is given. Are you in a position to develop a mathematical model of that problem? These are all will be checked. And please, एक बात निकाल दीजिए माइंड में कि should I remember the data? So this melts at this temperature. Of course, general values you should know, but database मतलब you don't have to by heart that database. मतलब इस पे ये हो रहा है ये ऐसा मतलब remembering things they ask very little. मतलब वो ना के बराबर. So whatever they ask, it is based on analysis. They may be asking you derivations also. Now, The first thing is they will ask you, what are your favorite subjects? So generally they ask 4 to 5 favorite subjects. You will be giving some order, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are your favorite subjects. I'll tell you what are the favorite subjects that you are supposed to take. ऐसा कोई rule नहीं है sir. It varies from individual to individual. Does it mean if you are giving the order as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they should ask directly, first is your most favorite, they should ask from questions from that? Nah. They can also start from the bottom. So it all, please remove mentally, you should become strong. They can ask in any order. They can ask any of, but they will ask from your favorite subjects. Generally, once the favorite subjects are asked, they will ask questions. Say for example, first favorite subject se पूछा है. What type of questions are asked? See for example, you have, for example, we have thermodynamics. Say you have first law of thermodynamics, which is generally they start, what is first law of thermodynamics? So you say it is like conservation of energy. Then they start slowly asking some questions on conservation of energy. How to apply the equation. So if a problem is given, for example, an insulated container is given, ठीक है sir? Then in an insulated container, there is a partition. This side, there is some gas. Just I am giving one example. So the partition is removed. Now the constituents are mixed. Then how to find out the final pressure? How to find out the final volume? So initial, final pressure, final temperature. So he says rigid container. So यहाँ पे क्या करना है? How to apply the equations for closed system, equations for open system. These things you should know properly. Good. Now I think my smart board is troubling, but that doesn't mean that should not stop. We'll rectify it soon. Now, so ये बोल रहा था, for example, d dash q is equal to du plus d dash w. So as it is a rigid container, there is no external interactions with surroundings in the form of work. So work is 0. As it is insulated, the heat transfer is 0. So internal energy is conserved. That is, so likewise you have to move. Suppose you are not in a position to start that. For example, a problem is given to you. मान लो, you are not in a position to start that problem. They will give you hint. And they will check. See, suppose now, if you are not in a position to start, that doesn't mean ki you have lost the battle. No. That doesn't mean you have lost the battle. So, what? They will give you hint. With that hint, if you are in a position to catch, with the hint, if you are in a position to catch, then definitely, they will think that, yeah, he is in a position to solve the given problem if a hint is given. So they will try to see if the hint is given, whether you are in a position to solve or not. ये बहुत important है sir. Next. ये है sir. Next. So everything is analysis. Now, what are your favorite subjects? Generally, the favorite subjects most of the times are thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, heat transfer, strength of materials, and one more subject of your choice. Generally, questions will be asked from thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, heat transfer, strength of materials. ये तो पक्का है. Mechanics. Now, correct. Now, कहीं भी जाओ, materials are very important. Engineering materials. तो आपको material science देखना ही है थोड़ा बहुत. You have to see material science. At least you should know some basics of material science. So you can select subjects like, I'm not saying you should select only these as your favorite subjects, but generally most of the common like subjects that students select are thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, heat transfer, strength of materials, engineering mechanics, and material science. यहाँ से select करो. ठीक है sir. Now, then what are the sources to be referred to? चलो पहले हम स्टार्ट करेंगे थर्मो से. So I personally recommend foreign author books. My dear students, I personally recommend foreign author books because those books, they give very good analysis, practical applications. So everything is highly conceptual. So for thermodynamics, I request you to follow either Sengel and Bowles. देखो, thermodynamics, Either you follow Sengel and Bolz, ये वाला thermodynamics Sengel and Bolz, or there is one book that is Moran Shapiro. Either you follow thermodynamics Sengel and Bolz, कोई एक किताब. Now the question is, क्या क्या पढ़े उससे? What are the things? Because now you don't have time to study everything. You cannot study all the book, complete book. देखो, what I am suggesting is, for example, first law है, core first law देख लीजिए, what is first law? Then some related questions, मतलब related questions means like not all numericals, some basic, अभी जो बताया ना, for example, there may be a question like this. अब देखो, I am going to give you some questions soon. I am going to give you some questions. एक सेकंड सर, पता नहीं ये ट्रबल कर रहा है. एक सेकंड प्लीज, कल से ट्रबल कर रहा है सर ये. हाँ, what I am suggesting is, for example, there is a system like this. In this, now you have a rod connected to two pistons, variable area. Now heat is supplied. Represent the process on PV diagram and how to calculate work. ऐसे दिया जाता है. So common sense use करना है sir. When heat is supplied, you know, my dear students, the gas expands. So when it expands, in which direction this complete system move? Because इसको तो ऊपर ही जाना है. Because अगर नीचे आ रहा है तो कम वॉल्यूम आएगा, तो it's not compression, it is expansion. So based on that, how the volume, I'll be doing some questions of this type. Don't worry, I'll be doing. Then for ऐसे questions करो sir. मतलब what you have to do is, don't read all the theory. You read laws, first law, second law, then zeroth law, just देख लीजिए, और उसके थोड़े applications. So just scan some questions. That's it. Entropy, availability, थोड़ा देख लीजिए, और related एक दो like something like derivations. They may be asking you like TDS is equal to DH minus VDP. वहां से ideal gas के लिए equations बनाओ, entropy change. Likewise, they can ask. So that's why don't read the complete book. So whatever important areas you find, like important areas also I'll guide you. Don't worry. So अगर आपका thermodynamics है, just first law, second law, then pure substances, second law with entropy, ये देख लीजिए. Very good sir. And entropy का थोड़ा physical significance in depth देख लीजिए. Very good. उसके बाद thermodynamics हो गया. Second is fluid mechanics. So what are the areas to be studied? थोड़े बहुत properties देख लेना, fluid properties like viscosity, variation of viscosity with temperature, how the viscosity is varying with pressure, is there any variation? If so, then थोड़ा बहुत surface tension. ये properties हल्का सा, I think in 2 hours you can, 1 or 2 hours you can complete. Properties पे ज्यादा जोर मत देना. Then we have, my dear students, once properties are over, then you go to pressure measurement. तो manometry थोड़ा देख लीजिए, especially buoyancy. Go to buoyancy, equilibrium, stable, unstable, neutral. Buoyancy के बाद kinematics is very important. In kinematics, you have to see all the things, different types of flows, steady, unsteady, how to calculate acceleration, tangential acceleration, normal acceleration. ये सब देख लीजिए sirs. ये सब देख लीजिए. And then in kinematics, then stream function, velocity potential function, these are and circulation, these are very, very. Apart from that, तो इसके physical significances, ठीक है sirs. Then पता नहीं यार ये क्या हो रहा है. हाँ, then dynamics is very important. For example, how to apply momentum equation. Then in dynamics, Bernoulli's equation, Navier-Stokes equation, ये थोड़ा देख लीजिए. Then boundary layer, laminar, turbulent. तो bound layer, तो turbulent में ज्यादा देखने की कोई जरूरी नहीं है सर, because most of the things are empirical, experimental. So no need to go to turbulent flow and go to that much depth. तो at least you should know. अगर आपको, and one more thing they ask, they may be asking you free body diagrams. For example, the fluid is flowing and draw the free body diagram. If these are the situation will be given, he may be asking you to draw a free body diagram. So ये भी बहुत important है sir. You should know how to draw a free body diagram. Very good. Then mechanics के basics थोड़ा देख लेना sir. Mechanics fundamentals. Then fluid mechanics books which I suggest are, fluid mechanics के लिए the books which I suggest are, one is Sengel and Simbala. कहाँ गया रे वो? One book is ये है sir, fluid mechanics, Sengel and Simbala. Either you take this or you take आइदर यू टेक दिस और यू टेक मुनसन। ये क्या है सर? मेरे पास तो व्हाइट है, मेरे पास तो फॉक्स है, वेरी गुड। व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज फ्लूइड मैकेनिक्स के लिए एनी वन बुक, आइदर यू टेक सेंजल एंड सिंबाला or you take, yes, no need to take all, or you take Munson, or you take Fox, or you take White. Any one book is enough. तो इसमें क्या क्या पढ़ना है? What I said, properties हल्का देख लीजिए, थोड़ा प्रेशर मेजरमेंट अच्छा देख लीजिए, बेसिकली he'll ask different fluids are there, how to write the pressure equation. Then buoyancy is especially important because there are some practical questions like he'll ask you some practical questions like there is a boat, in that boat there is a cargo, if the cargo is dumped what will happen to the level, if ice melts what will happen to the level, such questions you have to say. If what is the reason for the why the dead body floats after few hours of death, ऐसे questions थोड़ा देख लीजिए. Anyway I'll be guiding you. उसके बाद देन काइनेमैटिक्स, देन बायंसी के बाद काइनेमैटिक्स देख लीजिए, देन डायनामिक्स थोड़ा अच्छा देख लीजिए, थोड़ा बाउंड्री लेयर थ्योरी, नो नीड टू सी ऑल, नेवियर स्टोक्स इक्वेशन थोड़ा अच्छा देख लीजिए, दैट्स इट. देन स्पेशली वेंचुरीमीटर, ऑर्फिस मीटर, पिटॉट ट्यूब थोड़ा फोकस ज्यादा कीजिए. Not just the equations, how you got the equation, like what happens if I change the area, if the area ratio is changing, ये सब बहुत important है sir. So fluid mechanics के लिए any one book you can take. Now next is strength of materials. For strength of materials, either you take Hibbeler, मुझे अच्छा लगता है सर, बहुत आसान किताब है, or you take Beer and Johnston. ये वाला, एक सेकेंड, दिस वन कहां गए रे वो, बियर एंड जॉनस्टन कहां गए रे वो, हे भगवान, पता नहीं कौन लिया, क्या किए, अरे यार अभी तो रखा था ये, हाँ यार, यस, ये मैकेनिक्स ऑफ मटेरियल्स बाय बियर एंड जॉनस्टन, और यू टेक, ये मुझे अच्छा लगता है सर, मतलब इंटरव्यू के लिए ये अच्छा लगता है, गेरे एंड टिमोशेंको. I'm not asking you to study all books. एक enough. Anyone. All are equally good. तो क्या पढ़ना है सर? Especially stress strain diagrams. आपको stress strain diagram कैसे पढ़ना है? Normal SOM के हिसाब से नहीं पढ़ना है सर. You have to see why the yield stress is increasing. मतलब what is strain hardening? आप moment of dislocation से what is slip planes क्या है? FCC स्ट्रक्चर में क्या है? ऐसा देख लीजिए सर. स्लिप प्लेन्स क्या होता है, स्लिप लाइक प्लेनार डेंसिटी क्या है, देन क्या बोलते हैं लीनियर डेंसिटी क्या है, व्हाट आर स्लिप डायरेक्शंस, व्हाट आर स्लिप प्लेन्स, ये डिसलोकेशंस ये देख लीजिए सर, स्पेशली स्ट्रेस स्ट्रेन डायग्राम्स पे, दीज आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. देन आफ्टरवर्ड्स व्हाट डू यू से, इसके बाद स्ट्रेस स्ट्रेन डायग्राम सारे डिफरेंट मेटल्स के देखने के बाद इन सॉम, देन वी हैव थोड़ा थर्मल स्ट्रेसेस देख लीजिए. Then SFD BMD is important, deflection of beams are important, columns ये थोड़ा अच्छा देख लीजिए. Then how they do what they'll give you simply a beam they'll be giving you, and they'll add some load. Then what they do is in that beam they'll start adding some load, they'll make some alterations. Then they'll ask you to they take a solid element of the beam, and then they ask you the load diagram, मतलब what is the on the element, what are the different loads, how the stresses are coming, so they may be asking. So you should be clear with transverse shear, you should be clear with torsional shear, you should be clear with axial load, and combined loading they may be asking. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है सॉम में. वेरी गुड सर. उसके बाद सो सॉम भी हो गया सर, either you can take any of this. Next is heat transfer. For heat transfer, either you take Sengel or you take Incropera Divit. तो I prefer Sengel because जिनका मैथ्स उतना कमजोर, उतना भी स्ट्रांग नहीं, you can take, there is no problem at all, there is no problem. Either you take heat transfer a practical approach by Sengel, heat transfer a practical approach by Sengel, or you take heat transfer Incropera and Divit. Any book is okay. दैट इज ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल। तो उसमें क्या क्या पढ़ना है सर? स्पेशली इन हीट ट्रांसफर ग्राफ्स, heat generation, variable thermal conductivity, then generalized conduction equation, and you should be in a position to do that. Then convection, combined modes of heat transfer, radiation, a bit of heat exchangers. Heat exchangers पूछते हैं लेकिन थोड़ा कम पूछते हैं सर। Basically, the graphs are very important. How, like with position, how the temperature is changing. If there is a variable thermal conductivity in cylinders, then in spheres, then in plane slabs, all these are very very important. Especially थोड़ा conduction पे ज्यादा focus कीजिए sir. I request you to focus much on conduction, much on conduction. Okay. Then these two books are enough. These two books are enough. Like either you take Sengel or you take Incorpora Divit. So बस हो जाएगा सर। मैं जो बोला ना वो areas पढ़ लेना सर। You read those areas. ठीक है सर। कितने हो गए सर? थर्मो हो गया, फ्लूइड हो गया, सॉम हो गया, देन HMT हो गया। नाउ कम्स मटेरियल साइंस, विच इज, अगर आपको मैकेनिक्स पढ़ना है तो मैं एक ही किताब सजेस्ट करूंगा, मरियम क्रेग। मरियम क्रेग पढ़ लीजिए सर। सो स्टैटिक्स एंड डायनेमिक्स बाय मरियम क्रेग, तो अच्छा किताब है सर, अच्छा किताब है। योर कॉन्सेप्ट्स विल इंप्रूव। एंड सबसे मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इज मैथमेटिक्स। So that is very very important, because you have to know how the curves are developed. What is positive increasing slope, negative increasing slope, like positive decreasing slope, negative decreasing slope, constant. You should know the nature of curves. You should know maxima, minima. थोड़ा बहुत कैलकुलस भी देख लीजिए सर। सो मैं क्या कर रहा हूं सर, अगर आपका मैथ्स थोड़ा, अगर आपके पास टाइम है तो मैथ्स भी थोड़ा देख लीजिए। ये वाला किताब लीजिए सर। आई थिंक इट इज विजिबल, I think it is visible. I think it is visible. संगेश का किताब है, कैलकुलस बाय जेम्स स्टीवर्ट एंड डैनियल क्लेग। ये लीजिए सर थोड़ा बहुत, स्पेशली आप मैक्सिमा, मिनिमा, कंटिन्यूटी ये देख लीजिए। Why I ask to see continuity, all those things ना, because when you draw shear force and bending diagram, they'll be asking you, is the shear force continuous? Is the bending moment continuous? If so, if it is discontinuous, what is the shear force on the left side? What is the shear force on the right side? Everything should be with analysis. एंड डेली वन मोर सजेशन इज, आप 2 या 3 सब्जेक्ट्स लेके चलो, होल हार्टेडली 2 या 3 सब्जेक्ट्स लेके मेन एरियाज देख लेना। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, इफ पॉसिबल, यू शुड बी इन ए पोजिशन टू डिराइव थिंग्स। यू शुड बी इन ए पोजिशन टू डिराइव थिंग्स। ऐसा नहीं कि यू आर बाय हार्टिंग थिंग्स, नो नो नो। इफ you are stuck up somewhere, अगर कहीं पे अटक गए तो they will give you idea. You don't have to worry. When they give you some hint, you should be in a position to catch that hint and go. एंड प्लीज एक ही रिक्वेस्ट है सर, यू फील फ्री, प्रेशर फ्री के साथ काम करो सर, प्रेशर फ्री के साथ काम करो। सो डोंट गेट अटैच्ड विथ रिजल्ट, बार्क इंटरव्यू इज टफ, ऐसा कुछ नहीं रहता है सर। मजे में करो, आप थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग वे में पढ़ो सर, आप तो हो जाएगा सर। गेट डिटैच फ्रॉम रिजल्ट। सो दे विल बी आस्किंग इन दिस रेशियो माय चांसेस आर लेस, फियर ऑफ फेलियर इज मोर डेंजरस देन फेलियर। ये सब छोड़ के आप ऐसा पढ़ लीजिए सर, कॉन्सेप्चुअली पढ़ो। एंड वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग इन ग्रुप। आप ग्रुप में कीप द ग्रुप क्लीन। जो ग्रुप है मेरा बार का, उसमें मैं आपको लाइक आई विल गिव यू सम क्वेश्चंस एंड स्टूडेंट्स यू कैन शेयर क्वेश्चंस, आप आपस में डिस्कस कर लीजिए। इफ पॉसिबल, इफ टाइम परमिट्स, आई विल कंडक्ट मॉक इंटरव्यू, बट उसका मैं कोई गारंटी पहले ही नहीं दे रहा हूं, अगर टाइम परमिट करता है, बिकॉज स्टूडेंट्स आर रिक्वेस्टिंग मेनी न्यू सब्जेक्ट्स फ्रॉम मी। ऑलरेडी आई स्टार्टेड मटेरियल साइंस, तो वी आर ऑलमोस्ट एट द एंड ऑफ मटेरियल साइंस, तो इसीलिए अब नया सब्जेक्ट भी शुरू हो सकता है। सो द लोड मे बी मोर ऑन मी, दैट्स व्हाई मे बी अ बिट डिफिकल्ट, बट whenever it is possible I'll try to conduct one mock interview. So आपस में डिस्कस कीजिए। सो आई विल ऑल्सो शेयर सम इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस, मतलब कुछ नए क्वेश्चंस विच आई फील पोटेंशियल। तो आप ग्राफ्स ड्रॉ करना सीख लीजिए सर। फर्स्ट यू शुड नो ग्राफ्स। सो व्हेन अ पर्सन इज स्टडीइंग विथ ग्राफ, रीडिंग ग्राफ इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। पॉजिटिव इंक्रीजिंग स्लोप, पॉजिटिव डिक्रीजिंग स्लोप, देन नेगेटिव इंक्रीजिंग स्लोप, नेगेटिव डिक्रीजिंग स्लोप, कांस्टेंट पॉजिटिव स्लोप, कांस्टेंट नेगेटिव स्लोप, ये आ गया तो बाकी का खेल इजी है सर। So don't worry about anything, just keep working and sincerely अपने efforts देना। We are there to support you, whatever is possible from my side, from our side. And one more thing, ये मत बोलना कि पूरा responsibility, don't put the complete onus or responsibility on us. आप पे, we are just only guide, I am telling you. and you have to do from your side. बड़ा मतलब ग्रुप में ऐसा नहीं कि मेरा ये सही है, मेरा ये सही है, ये मत करना. So you have to learn from everything. So situation will be given, you should be in a position to answer to that situation. For that you need very good concepts. इसलिए मैं बोलता हूं हमेशा पढ़ रहे तो don't just read from examination point of view, because after the examination you have to go for interview also. इसलिए पहले टाइम इन्वेस्ट करना बहुत सही है. चलो पहले नहीं किए, अब तो अच्छा करो, एटलीस्ट 3 सब्जेक्ट स्ट्रांग बना लो आप. So definitely I am there to support you, and if you have any query regarding this BARC, अगर ग्रुप में ज्वाइन नहीं हुए, so if you want to join the group, yes, we are there to support you, and I'll share my number. सर एक सेकंड, पता नहीं इसको क्या हुआ आज, ये सता रहा है सर, आई डोंट नो सर. चलो कोई बात नहीं. So 78931900907 is my number. 7 से स्टार्ट होके 7 से एंड होता है. 78931900907. Okay, so if you have any query you can ask, so don't worry my dear students. तो फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट ये कर लेना. सो आप बोलेंगे सर प्रोडक्शन मेरा फेवरेट है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं सर, आप ले सकते हैं. तो सर टॉम मेरा फेवरेट है, बिल्कुल ले सकते सर, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. So it can be anything, but generally these are the favorite subjects. Generally BARC में ये लोग रहते क्या, heat transfer, thermodynamics, SOM, fluid mechanics, mechanics and engineering materials. These are very very important. So I wish you all the best. Whatever the support you want, I'm there to guide you. So whenever like I get time, I'll try to share some good questions, interview questions. Okay, so I wish you all the best. God bless you. So start immediately without wasting time. So no need to purchase. अगर आपके पास कोई सॉफ्ट कॉपीज है तो लीजिए. ओके, चलो, ऑल द बेस्ट.